Hello friends, welcome to TMXC Adventures. Lisa here. Today we're going to make some hot cross buns. So if you've never made hot cross buns with your Thermomix, come along today and let's check out how easy this is. Now I am making these vegan hot cross buns only because I don't really want to use an egg, which is typically in our kind of brioche sweetened buns, but I also don't want to use butter just because I haven't got much in the fridge at the moment. So you can use butter. You could melt it down and use this in place of the vegetable oil they use in this recipe. But use what you've got, right? So let's get started. In the chat today, tell me if you've made hot cross buns. I'd love to know if this is something you are skilled in making and if you feel confident to do it so you don't have to buy it with all their added ingredients this Easter. So line 2 baking trays with baking paper, and first up we've got some water. 240 grams of water in this goes. So that's approximately a cup of water. Up 250, that will do. Okay, next up we've got this vegetable oil, and as I said, if you don't have a vegetable oil, I like to use sunflower oil because it's one of the better oil varieties as far as when it comes to baking, but you could melt butter down. Melt some butter and it will do the same job. You could use coconut oil if you preference. Make sure it's melted as well though, because otherwise the texture is just not going to be quite right when you make this dough. Okay, next up we've got some yeast. Dried instant yeast, 40 grams. So it's quite a bit of yeast actually in the scheme of things. If you have made, oh, well that's a little unusual. Look at that, we actually don't have the scales come up. Check that one when you do it. What I was going to say is that's actually quite a bit of yeast. Usually we don't use quite that much yeast. So I'm going to guess that's what we're going to go with because I didn't have those scales up. It's a fair bit of yeast. The good thing about yeast though, it's really quite forgiving. I'm going to say that's probably a tablespoon of yeast. Yeast is something that it grows, and the longer you leave it, the more it grows. There is a peaking out point where it can't grow anymore. But generally speaking, like for a dough that's usually about 500 grams, you actually normally 2 teaspoons. So this is about 4 teaspoons, which is equal to a tablespoon. Okay, just do that. Put 1 big tablespoon in and you'll be happy with the result. Okay, on with the lid, and we've got a bit of a heat up. Now it says 37 degrees. It's like 30 degrees here today. So I can skip this step and I'm quite happy to do so. Next up is some sweetener because we are making hot cross buns. So caster sugar or whatever your preference. If you preference some monk fruit sweetener here or some honey, obviously that changes the taste, but go for it. Like use what you've got. If you've already got raw sugar, use your raw sugar. So it's got a 40-second combine. I'm hesitant to do it, but I'll do it for a second. It's not going very fast. I'm going to keep an eye on the lid here. It's just mixing it through. You could probably skip it if you were in a hurry, okay? I'm going to stop it because I don't want to spend too long on time here with you guys today. I'm just going to get things done, get it out of the way. So next up is salt. So that offsets our sweetness. It makes it sweeter. It makes it seem sweeter than it actually is. I don't think I've got a full teaspoon in there. Need to refill it, but use what you've got. Do put the salt in though, don't skip it. You will notice the flavor's not right. It actually also cuts through the flour so that you don't feel like you're just eating flour. And by the way, gluten-free friends, yesterday I did a chocolate hot cross bun loaf on Facebook and YouTube. You'll see the replay up there. If you are gluten-free and you need an option for a gluten-free one, I mean, I used choc chips and cocoa. Leave that out and put in like I do today. I did cinnamon yesterday. You just need to put some nutmeg in and some dried fruit. So you can do that, okay? So I've had 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. Not my favorite ingredient in the world, you guys know that. But it's good in hot cross buns. On with the lid again. We haven't even got the flour step yet. 40 seconds, speed 2. I'm just going to let that mix through. Now, in your real world kitchen, this is your time to put your ingredients away. How cool is that? Now, obviously on Facebook and on YouTube, you guys don't want to watch me do these things. I could fast forward it, but I also don't want to spend ages editing. And I don't edit. I really don't, because I want real world kitchen, right? This is how you would be in your kitchen too. However, you would take the time to put ingredients away. So it's just trying to stir those ingredients through a bit. Now here we go, baker's flour. Now I am using, I think I've got a wholemeal today, wholemeal bakers up the back here. I love the fact that having a Thermomix gives me that flexibility to make it whole grain, make it without the numbers, preservatives, additives, all those things. That was a little too much, that's okay. So, and if you're wondering not affiliated in any way, but we get ours from Honest to Goodness, and it comes on online in bulk. Okay, on with the lid. I feel like we're at that pointy end where it's going to now knead for 4 minutes. Now, I'm going to come back in 3 minutes because I'm going to shortcut the last step, because I think the last step gets you to, yeah, they don't mix through well. It has a total time of 6 minutes of kneading, and I find you don't need that. So we're going to spin this up, and I will see you in about 3 minutes time. We're going to finish this recipe together then, but I hope you'll give this a go. Cook it to we're up to so far. Let's get it together, ready to make our hot cross buns today. We'll see you soon. Okay, best laid plans. Never got back to you. That's okay. Busy cleaning up the kitchen, putting all the things away. So next up is some sultanas. So we're putting in 150 grams of sultanas. Now you don't have to put all this amount in. I don't think I usually do put all this in. I feel like I just put whatever I feel like in. So it's up to you. Raisins, if you've got them, or even like your mixed fruit works. Oh, actually, does it say currants? I've got raisins. Honestly, use what you've got. And then last up is, and I do like to especially buy these, is your dried apricots. Okay? But if you buy like your mixed fruit, generally I think they're in it. So, I don't know how much that was, but just a little bit. Now, the reason I like to try and put these in while it's still kneading is I find it comes together much nicer. This you'll hear it rattle around, some never get it incorporated well, but I'll show you that in a couple of minutes time. So let me put the lid on. Let's spin this up. I'll see you in 2 minutes and we'll see whether it's come together. In the meantime, you'll need a Thermomat because we're going to wrap this dough up and let it proof. So do that while you wait, okay? So spin this up and we'll see you in 2 minutes. Okay, we're back. Let's have a look. Let's see how it did. Oh, it's incorporated some. That's great. Let's just spin you around for a second. The next step is our proving. So we've got a mat here. Look at that dough. And let's see how we did. Tip this out. It's not too bad. There's not a huge amount floating on the bottom, which is nice. Sometimes in the past, when you're incorporating things and you're making like a raisin toast or like this, a hot cross bun, you'll find that it just doesn't absorb, like once it's kneaded, once it's got to that stage of kneading, it just floats around those extra add-ins. Now, a little tip, if you want to get the leftovers out from under those blades, it's not much in there, but a little bit, put it back in, push your house key, and we'll just spin up to speed 10 just momentarily. It won't take long. I should put a measuring cup in. Anyway, I didn't find it, but up to speed 10, it just shoots it all out from the sides, makes it easier to get to. Watch out with those blades, especially if you've got a new Thermomix. Like, they're really sharp. Alright, I'm going to use it like blue tack. So, see how it's shot out to the sides? That's what I wanted. It is a tacky dough, so there's no doubting this is a stickier dough than you've got for like basic bread rolls and stuff like that. But it's because it's a yummy hot cross bun dough. Alrighty. So, I'm going to prove this for a while. So, it says to prove it till I think double in size, but that's my usual go-to. It changes texture. Importantly, with dough proving, you go from what's a sticky, tacky, really difficult to work, and if I was in a hurry I would actually make the effort to shape these into bread rolls now, but you go from this quite tackiness to more like a pillow. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. I haven't sprayed my mat or anything like that. It does have a little leftover dough on it from something else, but like that. And what we'll find is when we come back in an hour's time, see how it's got at the moment empty pockets here? These will be filled. It will be trying to bust from the seams. So I'll see you in, say, 45 minutes, an hour, and we'll come back, we'll shape some hot cross buns and get them in the oven. So I'll see you then. Okay, welcome back. It hasn't been an hour. It's been like 30 minutes, and you can see, even without heating that dough, can you see that shape has changed? It's filled out, it's pillowed up. I was looking at this recipe actually after I turned off the camera, and it actually says to roll it straight out of the Thermomix. If you've got time, I would suggest letting it rest. Only because, in this case, this recipe, it's so sticky. So I actually think maybe it was my little bit extra water, but if you've got the time, it's going to be a lot easier to work with. So it says to divide into 16 pieces. So just cutting it in half, and then we'll aim for 8 either side. I'm going to put it in, it did say initially to put this in 2 different trays, so I am going to aim to do that. I am also cutting it, you might notice, into something that resembles squares already with dough. And once it's kneaded, the less you can play with it, the fluffier it's going to be. The moment you start treating it like Play-Doh, it's really hard to work. So there we go, there's 8. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to, and I can get some flour if I need to, but I don't think I need to. And I'm just making little circles. I'm tucking the corners in and I'm spinning it on my hand, tucking under. It is a delicate dough, so it is worth, you may need to flour your hands. I don't want to put more flour on it if I can help, so I'm doing this. I want to get something that resembles a smoothish top, because obviously I want to be able to put my cross on the top with some flour and water later. But, and on that note, I haven't cleaned out my bowl. I'm going to recycle my bowl before I finish up today. So, just doing this. I want to put 8 in each of my dishes, and that will give us nice big fluffy ones, especially when I give them more time now to rise further. So the plan is now, once I've made my 8 and then my other 8, it says to then leave them 1 centimeter apart, cover lightly with a silicone mat or plastic wrap, and place into a cold oven until it's doubled in size. So I'm not going to do that. At that point in time, excuse the puppy dogs, guys. I'm not sure why they're barking. It's nothing exciting today. There's no visitors coming. It's a very nice, quiet day. So when they've doubled in size, I'm actually not going to follow that part, okay? I've been bread making for a little while now, and I've got the way that I like to do things. And unless I'm in a real haste because I've got to get out the door, and today it's Easter Friday, I don't need to go anywhere. I like to now let them sit, double in size, and then preheat my oven, okay? Which is when we'll come back then and we will put the crosses on the top, ready to then go in the oven. I just want to talk about this while I roll my last ones too. I'm using a glass baking dish for this. I'm also intentionally putting 8 in a dish, and I've got a high-sided dish. The reason I've got a high-sided dish is I actually want these to not get a baked edge, so to speak. I would love for these to be, you know when you buy them from the supermarket and they really got the fluffy sides? That's what I'd like it to end up with. So where it's not really crunchy all the way down the sides in today's case. So that's what I'm going to put that bit with there. That's what I'm kind of aiming for, okay, is I really would love it to be so that they are soft all around, touching each other, so you've got that beautiful softness between them. That's what I'm aiming for today. We'll see how we go. You can see how quick and easy it is to roll these now that they have proven a bit. They're allowed, like they're not hard to work with. When you try and roll them straight out of a Thermomix, which is possible, and you guys know I'll do that often with bread rolls, it's a different texture, but this is so sticky, it would have been really hard to work with, whereas now, it's just beautiful to work with. You can see all that beautiful raisins and stuff, and you can see in this very short amount of time I've been back with you guys how easy and quick this is. You can have the kids, the grandkids doing this without an issue. So, I've got one last little messy one here that doesn't look like it's got enough dough. So I'm thinking I might acquire some from over here. When you cut some off the edge like that, see how it's kind of just done that to it? It's no big deal. Might even take a little bit more off this corner. If you guys can't quite see that, sorry. Just tuck it in underneath so that you don't notice, and nobody notices what you've just done. That would be my suggestion as well. So I cut that edge there, just now tuck it under. Okay, if the fruit on top bothers you, just keep going till you've got a nice clean top where there's no fruit on top, or poke it in, either or. So I'm going to grab another dish, some more baking paper, putting them about that far apart, finger width apart, and I'll see you. I'm going to cover them with silicone, put them, well, actually I won't even put them in the warm spot, it's warm enough today, and I'll come back and let's put the crust on soon. So I'll see you then. Okay, welcome back. It's been like probably 45 minutes, an hour now. I've just been out in the yard doing stuff, and you can see they have grown. They're touching each other. Not so much in the middle. I've got them a bit wide, but on the sides here, they're definitely touching, which is nice. And I didn't put them outside. They've been sitting on the bench. Next up, we're going to spin back here, and we're going to make the crosses. Now, I have in previous years actually just done this by doing it in the Glad bag. So the Glad bag that's about to become the piping bag. But I thought today I'd do it as per recipe. So it's kind of one of those things, it's a catch-22. It's a pain to massage the oil and flour and water in a Glad bag, but then you're not trying to scrape it out of the bowl. I'm sure you're going to see in a minute what that looks like. Pinch of salt. You know what? Salt's empty. Okay, 1.5 teaspoons of vegetable oil. Let me grab that back out. It's not much. It's teeny tiny little amount, yeah? Which, you know, Don't know that I'm the best at pouring teeny tiny little bits, but that's okay. And then mostly then we've got water. So this is quite it's a very medium paste in the sense that it needs to be pliable to go through the piping bag, but it needs to hold its form on the top. Okay, next up, on with the lid. Next, grab a measuring cup. 30 seconds, speed 4. Now I do have a Glad bag I'm going to put it in. I've got it in a jar so that it becomes my piping bag. I'll grab a little spatula. You can see it's cake-like in texture. It's actually probably combined enough. I'm just going to scrape it down and check it is actually combined. It's very cakey kind of texture, so it needs to hold its shape, obviously. We've lost some of that liquid up the side, which I do want to incorporate in, but let's have a look. At this stage, I'm not sure I'd squeeze that through a piping bag, so I reckon it needs more water. What do you reckon? So what we might do, we'll just put this back on. I'm going to trickle some through the lid. I reckon that's better. I'll show you the difference in a second. It's more like a pikelet batter now, where it's a bit runnier rather than so thick. So transfer into a piping bag, pipe crosses on the top of the buns. So I'll just show you what I mean. You can see that, oh, it's not really runny. Maybe it does need to be thinner. All right, a little bit more, Back arrow. All right, let's try a whisker more. Let's see if we can get this right. I think that's looking better, but it's not combining well. So let's give it one more scrape. Let's get it going again. And then let's pipe. We will need scissors to cut. That's better. See how it's kind of runny, but not. That's what we want. So I'll just get it to do one more mix through for me. And we'll put it in there. Famous last words. Let's see how we go. All right. Into the piping bag, ready to pipe our crosses. And while this is happening, by the way, I have preheated my oven. So that's over there at 180, ready to go. It's my little hot crust buns. So just a Glad bag. I'm going to try and put it into the corner of the Glad bag. I always find this is a bit excessive. So if you're going to make multiple batches or a double batch, you don't need to double this. I find it's way more than you need. But I think they've done it this way because there might not be enough quantity otherwise to mix nicely in the Thermomix. But it's definitely more than required. I reckon you can really get like 3 or 4 batches out of the flour mix. So something to think about when you're making yours. So let's get this Glad bag zipped up. I need a little bit on the outside. And I could have used a reusable piping bag, but they're high in the cupboard. And I didn't feel like climbing up and getting it. No other reason. Okay, scissors for the corner. See if these scissors are sharp enough. Just do a little twist in your bag so that you don't lose your contents all up the top. Okay, so it does act like a piping bag. The leftovers can be put in the fridge. Grab a bit of sticky tape and sticky tape the end. Oop, we're ready. So now we're simply going to, hopefully you can see, we're just doing this. Okay, oop. Now, if they're touching each other, you're going to get nicer crisscross than mine. This end one is touching each other, so this will be nice. Except I can't do straight lines today, apparently. Doing ziggly lines, that's okay. Okay, oop, just get that out of the way. A bit far apart, those end ones. So there's one tray done with their crisscrosses. The other tray over. This one's got a bit more larger ones, so they're touching each other. So across we go. Across we go. Now the last part of this recipe after it's cooked is a glaze. Please don't skip the glaze. You'll be sad. You'll be like, this is just not right. It's not like store-bought. The glaze is equal portions sugar and water and brushed over the top. Look, chances are, I don't think I'll get back to show you that. I actually do it, and if you've watched any of my videos over the years, you've seen this. All I do is get a coffee cup, and I literally put in a tablespoon of sugar and a dab of water, mix it up with a teaspoon, grab my pastry brush and brush it over the top when they're hot still. Gives it that nice sticky glossy top that you expect from a hot cross bun. And that's actually then how you'll finish them. So it's as simple now as putting them in the oven 180 for 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to cook them until they're nice and bread roll like. Get them out, put the glaze on top, let them cool a little bit so they don't burn your mouth, and enjoy them with butter or however you would normally enjoy them. But I hope this video helps you get confidence making Easter hot cross buns this year. Share it with your friends and family. If you know someone who has a Thermomix and isn't making bread yet, hopefully they can grab some tips from this video. But I can't wait to share the final photo very shortly at the end of this video. But take care, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.